is about empowering ourselves to think and grow and believe and trust and love and all that for ourselves so that we can then serve others.
You like a true executive make a fast decision, right? That's like what I also wanted to talk about, that in chess, you have to make these decisions very fast. And when you operate with not like 100% of information, but just like, for instance, like 60% of information, you already have to make your move. And that would also transcend into like my life. And I remember, like the whole situation when I moved from Russia to New York. So after graduation, I started working as an auditor at a company like international auditing and consulting company. And then later I got into the finance department of a government company doing like budgeting, P&L, cash flow. And then I just didn't feel that I was fulfilled. I think it was sort of the same, like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I doing something that doesn't fulfill me? And I always just like thought that maybe I'm missing something beautiful out there and I have to decide what to do next. So, and I remember that my family and my friends were like telling me, Aryuna, what are you doing? Like, you like already spent like 10 years in finance, like you've studied and then you worked, and where are you going? It's totally like new to you and you don't speak English very well. And I was like, well, yeah, it is what it is. But like deep down, I felt that this is what I had to do. And I do think if you want to change something, you have to change it quickly and within like a certain period of time, because on average, we get like 3 periods of time. I don't remember where it comes from, but somewhere I read it that like there are 3 periods of time of our best capacity, like every 7 to 8 years, when we are getting to the next level, the time when you are not too young and the time when you're not too old to be able to make change. So yeah, and then I had this flashback to my childhood that, like, I was playing in tournaments, and sometimes even I had a better position, better material advantage in a game. I lost just because of lack of time, and I was concerned about it. And then when I was 25, I said to myself, okay, don't waste time, because you don't have too much of it, and just move on. And then I just moved to States. Yes, and this is like about making executive decisions. And you did it like within like what, 2 weeks that you decided that, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think that some people, I mean, some things I take more time on, right? I think that
Uh-huh.
planning and thought processes and really looking at the right framework and on how to do some things are
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Like our school system, we took about a year to design it, but I had people that have already run schools, as my partners. So, but we spend some time. But what I find is there's a lot of people that, and then there's other things that I put on the on my to-do list, like what I want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I what I've chosen for myself is to live purpose driven. So if it is
Right.
the right way for my purpose, then I will choose to do it. If
Mm-hmm.
it's not in alignment, then I'll choose not to. But I am driven to achieve um, certain outcomes so that I can serve communities and I can also add value to my team, because I get to provide more jobs. I get to provide more for more families, and it's a
Right.
huge blessing to
Right.
be able to see what's possible.
Exactly. Exactly. What's possible. But when we're pursuing our purpose, there are things that happen along the way, because, for example, I remember when I moved to the United States, I had certain expectation, And then it was a little bit different from the reality. So where I'm going to is that in chess, you have to plan, but the main thing is that you have to plan specifically to adapt, that every move changes the situation. And that means that the game is not static. And you have to think based on what your current circumstances are. So we shouldn't conflate like uncertainty with risk, where it's not, where like uh, uncertainty, it's not a risk. So in every game brings new unpredictable challenges and decisions. And I remember when I moved to States, my background, master's degree in accounting and auditing, and my experience in finance in Russia, it just didn't mean anything to American employers. And then I started to working as a receptionist at a hair salon far away in Brooklyn. And I tried to optimize all the operational processes and then put handwritten journal records in Excel spreadsheets. And the fun part is that the owner of that salon like was not sure what Excel spreadsheet was. And then 2 weeks later, he told me that, "Oh, listen, Aryuna, you are a smart girl, but you do not speak English at the level I need you to speak with my customers." So basically, he just hired me. And I remember I walked out from there totally depressed, thinking about how I'm going to tell my mother about being fired from a receptionist position. And I also was comparing myself to my university classmates who became managers at Fortune 500 companies by that time. And I felt that I was like the biggest loser in the world, and that I made a huge mistake by moving to the United States. For me, it was like the bottom of the bottom. But again, in chess, you have to adjust because adaptability creates stability. And soon I found another job and got promoted and like took over operations, negotiated deals with vendors, customers. So I understood how the whole basics of the American work approach. And yeah, that's how I adapted. And then I grew there, and then I started looking for new ways to achieve my dream to like travel and being in sales. And yeah, as soon as I reached my full potential there, I kept looking for new challenges. And yeah, so that's what I like expected. Like I expected it to be great, but then challenges came through, and then you adapt, and then you just win after you adapt and accept everything and just work with it. I think this is like the most important principle. And yeah.
Let me ask you, when on the adapting side,
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to learn really fast because if I didn't learn, like you're at a chess table, right? And a lot of people are in life. And my learning, I think, was a little bit more like, for me, it was pretty severe. Like in fighting in school, I didn't have to learn. Like they were like, "You're not good at it. You can take your time." And there was like some pity BS, right?
Mm-hmm.
With my kids that we support, the goal is to say, "Hey, how do you want to focus on what today?" Like we support them and ask them. We don't pity them for where they're at per se. And it's really helping them see it. Then when I got the fighting, if my coach said keep your hand up or you're going to get hit in the face, I would, if I didn't keep my hand up and I got hit in the face, he's like, "I told you so." And so it was like at the point where like I'd get hit in the face, or kicked in the leg, or taken down and beat up, like, right. So I learned.
Well, it's sort of adaptation.
Yeah,
to
right.
Very quick adaptation, right?
So it has to go faster, right? Like conceptually for the learning process. But I had to adapt. What's like one technique? Because a lot of people are listening that are like, well, maybe I don't know how to adapt, or I hear you, but I'm not. Maybe I don't even know which way to adapt to.
I think,
Can you give me some feedback?
I think the problem with planning with a lot of people is that they plan, they expect to have some results, and then they get disappointed, but by not having the results in the end. And why does it happen? It's just because every second everything changes. And if you do not react to these changes, and by that I mean if you do not adapt to these changes, nothing is going to work out, or you will be unhappy with what you have in the end, or you will be super happy just because you try to get the best out of each moment, and then to see yourself in a new situation second by second and think about new opportunities that you can create out of these situations.
Got it. Absolutely love it. Okay.
Right. And also what's really important in chess, I think it's like strategy, it's focus, and cold mind, because these are the main variables in the winning equation. And I'm sure you're like a sportsman, you know all about it, about your focus, and that you cannot get angry because otherwise you lose it. And you have to still be in this state of mind where you're calm. So, and yeah, going back to my like career life story, I literally remember that everyone told me that I had no chances to work in sales, and I'm not a native speaker, and you know you can hear my strong accent now. But I was really persistent, and then I landed a job at a marketing company as a business development manager. So that was funny how I wrote a script for my interview. I learned it by heart, and then like answered all the questions, and I just kept like remembering all of these answers that I wrote down before, like 20 pages of it. Then I got an offer, and I remember like my coworkers were wondering like, why in the first place she got a job, and she doesn't have experience in the industry, and her English is not that great. What's going on? And I remember it was a team meeting, and my colleague said that she was born in September. And as I was born in September as well, I told her, "Oh, you're a virgin too." And she said, "You're meant Virgo, right?" And they know, people never forget your mistakes. And so the first 3 months were like super challenging, and it was tough, like new industry, new language, a lot of bullying. Yes, still when you're 25 that happens. And every day before lunch I had this 15-minute cry time in bathroom, and then I was going back to my cold mind state. And I actually like was thinking strategically. I chose the complex tasks, and I did more than expected, and I usually threw myself into a fire, so it eventually led to promotion, like logically. But that flashback to chess tournaments when I was 8 and 9, like you sitting there, you're playing this game, your opponent is in front of you, you are hungry, you want to go to the bathroom, but you are not going there because you have to play. And I remember my father was behind my right shoulder, like breathing, and I heard him judging me for making like wrong moves sometimes. And there was this tremendous pressure, as like I had less time than my opponent, but the only good part was that I had the better material advantage, and I had to win. So then when you still stay in your cold mind, and when you like strategize, and when you know what you want and you focused on it, I think you have better results. So then yeah, going back to that story, eventually I got promoted to account executive, and then I was working with our major client, and I managed accounts in Europe and Asia, like executed sales missions throughout North America and Europe, closed deals. So it's actually a rewarding feeling to get to a place where a lot of people did not see you before. And I'm sure you are familiar with this feeling.
Yeah, so I love your story coming to America.